tail end of my contribution yesterday, that perhaps, Mr. Speaker, a time has come that either the Committee of Health, on its own motion, decides to do a proper audit of this leasing program, or then it will be necessary to set up another special committee. Because when you look at that table, there's an allocation of 124,723,404 cents to every county. It's an equal allocation to every county for servicing of the leased medical equipment. So, Speaker, it is clear, and all of us know because we come from counties, that first of all, not all counties receive the same equipment, so they cannot be paying the same amount of money for different equipment. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, there are counties today that, yes, they have those equipment, but they cannot utilize them because there is no connection to power, there is no connection to water, and there is also a case where that equipment is still lying in the source market where the manufacturers are. So, Speaker, the Health Committee, on its own motion, should look into that matter. If they cannot, for whatever reason, then this House needs to form a special committee to look into that matter. So, Speaker, my last contribution will be on the fourth schedule. No, the second schedule, Mr. Speaker. This second schedule, Mr. Speaker, on allocations for court fines and mineral royalties. It's a bit confusing to me. Because there are a number of counties there, and I want to mention Bomet, Bungoma, Busia, and Egel Marakwet, that they have no conditional allocations either for court fines or for mineral royalties. A clear reading of that then would indicate that there are no courts in those areas, and there are no minerals, or the courts never collect any fines in those areas. So, Mr. Speaker, this schedule is a bit confusing. There will be need for a relook at that. Speaker.
What is your point of Senator Wambua? Would you wish to be informed by Senator Chimera?
He can. He's a young man. He can inform me.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to inform Senator Wambua that the reason why we have courts in these counties does not mean the citizens of that county actually have to go to court. It could be a law-abiding citizens in those counties. That's why you have counties that don't have allocations from court fines. Like even Kwale, we are law-abiding citizens in Kwale, so we don't even have to benefit from anything from the court fines, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Senator Wambua, proceed.
Let me proceed, Mr. Speaker.
Find that information useful?
It clearly is not very useful, but but it is information anyway. So, Mr. Speaker, there will be need to relook at that schedule. You go to a county like Kiambu, and the Senator of Kiambu is not here. They have an allocation for court fines of 5 million and an allocation for mineral royalties of 10 million. Now, you go to places where we thought there's serious mining taking place there, and you find that there are no allocations. Like in Nyamira, I thought Nyamira was actually the home of soapstone, but there is no allocation at all on the matter of mineral royalties. So, Mr. Speaker, the whole of the second schedule, I do propose that is relooked. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, is on the matter of the wording of the bill. Mr. Speaker, I mentioned yesterday and want to emphasize that to the extent that we continue to hold the view that the national government can allocate funds to county governments, to that extent, the Speaker, then we may never be able to really talk about a separation of roles and functions between the national government and the county governments. As Speaker, I take a great exception to any reference made in this bill on national government revenue being allocated to county governments. Because then the real situation, the Speaker, would be if national government revenues are being allocated to county governments, then we are talking about transfer of services. We are saying that this is a function that is supposed to be done by the national government. This is the amount of money that has been allocated to it in the budget. Then that function and the funds can be reallocated to the county governments. But if the reference is to money from the treasury going to the county governments and the national government, then that distinction, Mr. Speaker, must be made very, very clear. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, even as I support the allocations bill, I would want also to remind ourselves, Mr. Speaker, that very soon we should have a serious engagement on that separation of roles between the Ministry of Finance and the Treasury, so that the Treasury performs the functions of allocating revenue to both levels of government. Mr. Speaker, with those remarks and those proposed amendments, I support.
Senator Chimera.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to contribute to this very important bill, being the County Government's Additional Allocations Bill 2023. Mr. Speaker, I must say it is a beautiful moment to be alive today and to be in the Senate, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, from the wording and the drafting of this bill, this is indeed music to the ears of many counties. From this bill, Mr. Speaker, our governors all over the country have no reason whatsoever not to complete their projects, Mr. Speaker, and not to pay the many young men and women who form the bulk of many suppliers and contractors in our counties. And as such, Mr. Speaker, I dare say that I support this particular bill. Mr. Speaker, allow me to briefly speak to Section 8 of the said bill, Mr. Speaker. For the first time, Mr. Speaker, we have a bill that speaks on the need of reporting and ensuring that our county governments comply with the reporting needs. Mr. Speaker, I sat here yesterday and listened to my colleague, Senator Aaron Cheriot, and he spoke so ably on the need as to why governors should actually be able to report on all they receive as allocations vis-a-vis the county expenditure, Mr. Speaker. This has never happened for so long, Mr. Speaker. And Senator Aaron was very clear and actually told us that indeed governors are more concerned on reporting the recurrent expenditure and not reporting on the development expenditure, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, as a Senate, I really look forward towards the day we'll be able to interact with the control of budget to tell us indeed how the reporting is done. And the bill is very clear from Section 8, Mr. Speaker, that counties have been given an idea to actually report to us their actual expenditure against the actual allocation, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, counties like Kwale, from the fourth schedule and the second schedule, Mr. Speaker, of this bill, I can see that my county has been given about 100 million shillings to engage in many fisheries projects, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the county of Lamu, the county of Mombasa, the county of Kwale, to a large extent, are known fishing counties, Mr. Speaker. We have very many fishermen drawing all the way from Ngombeni to Vanga, to Shimoni, and to Msambweni in Kisite. And these fishermen for so long have been engaging in what I call traditional fishing methods. Mr. Speaker, now we have funds going to our counties to ensure that the fishermen from Kwale County, after these funds are received by the county government, is able to engage in modern fishing. And these funds, I am happy to see that they'll actually go towards ensuring that we acquire modern fishing gear so that our fishermen can engage in meaningful fishing, so that we are able to realize the true potential of what we call the blue economy, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also notice the fourth schedule rather, gives allocations to counties on the royalties fund, Mr. Speaker. Again, I see Kwale County has been given about 1.1 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker, to be able to roll out projects from that particular account, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you notice that as a county, we've had this company called Base Titanium mining minerals in Kwale for far too long. But there was no legal framework, there was no law establishing the royalties fund. And I'm happy to see that the current CS for mining, who is, by the way, my former Governor Emeritus Salim Mvurya, has moved with speed to make sure that this law is in place and that counties, not Kwale alone, but counties which are actively involved in mining have a share to this fund, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, for the first time, the people of Mavumbu Ward in Kwale have proposed the upgrade of the Mariakani, Mavirivirini, Mavumbu Road, Mr. Speaker, to bitumen standards. For the first time since independence, they've never seen tarmac in Kwale, Mr. Speaker. And I'm happy that these funds are going there to enable the governor and the people that are in charge of these funds in these counties to roll out projects that are truly impactful to the local wananchi, Mr. Speaker. And for the first time, we are seeing that truly devolution is alive, and that with such bills, Mr. Speaker, we are able to breathe more life to our project, Mr. Speaker. I just want to urge the government, Mr. Speaker, to ensure there is effective and prudential use of this one, Mr. Speaker. So that as a Senate here, we just don't sit here in vain by passing resources, allocating the same resources to them, and then they end up squandering the same funds and pilfering these funds, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I wish to support this particular bill, and I am in true support of the same. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Murango.
Asante sana mstahiki Speaker. Mstahiki Speaker, nilikuwa naangalia hili jarida hapa na nikaona ya kwamba Kirinyaga iko pia na shilingi 100. Shilingi 100. Sio bilioni bwana. Shilingi 100 ambayo imepe.
Stop engaging your colleagues. Just proceed to make your contribution.
Na sasa Speaker, ndio nilikuwa ningependa kupendekeza kwa sababu kuna wale ambao wanaratibu mgao ambao unapewa county kwa sababu ya madini ama kwa sababu ya zile bidhaa zinatokana na mahali pale. Pia tunaweza kujua kama ni hii shilingi 100 imepewa Kirinyaga imetokana na madini gani. Kwa sababu wakati mwingine shilingi 100, hata jarida nililo nalo hapa ni gari kushinda shilingi 100. Haina haja ya kuratibu shilingi 100 za kupatia kaunti nzima, kwa sababu mimi naamini ya kwamba kuna hesabu ambayo mpaka iangaliwe kama iko sawa. Mimi mwenyewe kama mkazi wa Kirinyaga najua kwamba eneo chini la Mwea ni eneo muhimu sana. Sana sana katika uchimbaji wa maram na malighafi mengi ya kutengeneza barabara. Na kwa hivyo kupata shilingi 100 pige kuwa ni mshtuko kidogo. Nikimalizia mstahiki Speaker, pia wakati mgao unafanywa pia tungeomba kama watu wa Kirinyaga, kwa sababu mimi naunga mkono wakati mambo kama haya yanaletwa katika bunge ya Seneti. Lakini wakati pia tunafika kugawana pesa kama ni zile za maktaba, kila wakati utapata kama Kirinyaga hatugawiwi kwa sababu hatuna maktaba. Kwa hivyo nikiulizia naambiwa pesa zinagawanywa kwa wale ambao wako na maktaba, lakini sisi hatuna maktaba, hatupewi. Lakini tukienda kugawa pesa ya zile accounts zingine zimeachwa nyuma, zinapewa wale ambao hawana vitu ambazo tuko navyo. Kwa hivyo lazima tuchukue msingi mmoja, kama ni watu hawana wapewe, na kama ni watu wako nayo pia wapewe. Kwa sababu naona katika mambo ya maambara kidogo Kirinyaga tunambaguliwa, kwa sababu mpaka sahi sisi ndio county zile among zile 23 ambazo hawana maambara, na kwa hivyo hiyo nitaenda kuangalia. Asante sana mstahiki Speaker.
Senator Mundigi.
Bwana Speaker, naunga mkono kwa zile pesa inapeanwa, lakini kuna shinda katika hii allocation ya mineral. Embu County impatiwa shilingi 2,142. Saa ingine ile mambo inafanywa na watu unashindwa huwa anaangalia kitu gani. Kwa sababu kupatia county ya Embu kwa sababu ya mineral ati shilingi 2,000 ni kitu ni kama kutukana county ya Embu. Na saa hiyo tunajua stima inatoka Embu County na inaenda pahali ingine, na unakuta ile pesa tunaweza kupatiwa njia ya stima ni pesa kidogo sana. Ni sawa tumepatiwa milioni 100 ile tumeongezewa, lakini pia ni vizuri, lakini mpaka wale watu wako kwa hii mambo ya kupatia county pesa wakiangalia pia iwe itakuwa kati ile mwingine itakuwa ni kura moja kwa shilingi moja. Kwa sababu tumeona county nyingi kwa pesa sote kama Embu County itakuwa sasa iko na shilingi bilioni 6, na ile mahitaji tuko nayo ya kufanya kazi, mambo ya elimu, mambo ya agriculture, mambo ya kilimo, mambo ya afya, mambo mingi, hii pesa haitoshi. Na unaona county zingine imepatiwa bilioni 15, 16, lakini wakati umetembea pale itakuwa ni shinda, ni kama pesa imeporwa kwa kipindi ya miaka 10. Watu wengine wako na 200 billion na hakuna kitu wamefanya. Kwa hiyo naomba wakati ule mwingine itakuwa mimi nitaunga mkono, itakuwa ni one man, one shillings. Asante Bwana Speaker.
Now, honorable senators, there being no other senator wishing to contribute, I will call upon the mover to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, with your indulgence, please allow me before I respond on behalf of the people of Kakamega, specifically the people of Shinyalu constituency, Ireho village, to thank His Excellency the President. He has now made history for our community by appointing Fred Matuanga as Kenya's High Commissioner in Italy. We shall pray for the President on Sunday because he's picking the High Commission of Kenya to go to Italy, a place where Catholics, when they came to Western, they settled in a place called Mukumu in 1905. We are very grateful and we really feel like we are true shareholders in this government. Mr. Speaker, sir, coming back to the substance on the floor of the House, honorable members have been united, Mr. Speaker, in one thing. They have, Mr. Speaker, supported this motion. Mr. Speaker, just allow me to switch off the phone. I forgot to switch it off. Thank you.
Senator
Mr. Speaker.
Okay, proceed. Is your phone off?
Yes, I've switched
The
it
first
off.
thing is not to come with it to the plenary. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand guided. Mr. Speaker, sir, all the senators who contributed have agreed on one thing, that this is a very important bill. But because of who the Speaker is today, allow me to remind members that this is a bill which is coming at a time when our Right Honorable Speaker is regretting that he's no longer the governor. Because when they were governors, this bill was never passed in this House in this manner, and therefore this kind of money was never available in his office for him to cause development for his people. So I once again want to thank the President for not only releasing all the money owed to county governments and also releasing money timelessly before the 15th of every month, but also allowing us as the leadership of this House to lead this House in unlocking a whopping 53 billion shillings to go to our counties. With maximum respect, it is now time for us to enjoy benefit of on-site members. You remember when we were at each other's throats because of the shareable revenue when we passed 385. Now, whereas governors wanted 425, add what we have brought, the money has now ballooned to 400. Go to Mudare, go to Kawangware, go to, name it. The people there are living. The poverty index is good for Nairobi, but when you look at how people live in these other areas in Nairobi, you realize that Nairobi actually deserves slightly more money than what we have been giving it hitherto. The second comment which I want to clarify, as raised by Senator Wambua even today, is on the issue of the specialized medical equipment. Honorable members, the reason why county governments are paying the national government devolved funds, it is because the procurement of this special medical equipment was done by the national government wrongly at that time in 2015. Ideally, procurement should have been done by county governments so that this money, which is conditional money from the World Bank, meant to go and address the issue of health, could then be given to governors the way we are doing, and then they pay. But because it is the national government which procured, that is how the money is finding its way back to the national government. The third issue which arose is the issue of fertilizer. Colleagues, let us be analyzing these bills. If you look at this column, the people at the National Treasury don't seem to be working at all. Because in giving out money, for example, for fertilizer subsidy, they have given Nairobi, for fertilizer, 14.7 million shillings. Where do you want to spend 14.7 million shillings on fertilizer in Nairobi? Do they grow rice? Do they grow sugarcane? Why not take that money to Kirinyaga? Why not take that money to Embu, even if you don't like Kakamega? Why not take it to Bungoma? You take the money to Nairobi for fertilizer? Really? People at the Treasury? We have to face these guys in the eye and tell them, if they don't know, we are going to move on the floor of this house so that they are sacked. We put there young people from the University of Nairobi who can analyze, and other universities who can analyze figures and put money where it is merited. The fourth point was on the issue of court refunds. If you look at that column on court refunds, you will realize that there's an anomaly. And for you to understand, the money that is going back for courts is because that money does not go to the consolidated fund. And because it doesn't go to the consolidated fund, the little fines they do in your place, then for breach of the bylaws, then that money is supposed to be taken back. So a place like Mombasa, where a lot of money is seen to be going, it is because they have a lot of those kind of active court processes, and therefore they have a higher figure entitlement. The fifth point, which was raised and again raised by Senator Wambua, is the issue of county headquarters. Members, we who sit in the finance committee, we are properly seized of this matter. The reason why there has been this very long delay, it is because of the implementation process. The implementation of county headquarters was such that 1 year they would say the money will be released to the governor. When the governor wants to do it, they refuse. They say no, the implementation must be by the ministry and so on. So the throwback has resulted in this delay, and we must thank the first Senate, which in 2015 identified these deserving cases. Finally, but not least, the issue of royalties. This is theft. How would you give Vihiga 0? How? How can you sit and decide that Kirinyaga should be given 100 shillings? The fact that you are giving them 100 shillings, it means that you are admitting that there is mining taking place there. And if mining is taking place there, enough for you to notice it, then surely their royalty of 20% cannot be 100 bob. This is careless, open stealing of public funds. Let me, Mr. Speaker, give you the example of Kakamega. And this is fact. I come from the gold mining constituency of Shinyalu, Ikolomani, and Lurambi. Every week, Mr. Speaker, we mine and sell 10 kilograms of gold every Friday. And you compute this at the cost at which we sell gold worth 72 million shillings every Friday, Mr. Speaker. And with this, if you multiply it, just simple arithmetic, we sell, Mr. Speaker, in a year, 777.6 million shillings worth of gold. And when they calculate, Mr. Speaker, they tell us that our 20% is that, sorry, I got you wrong. We sell 72 million shillings of gold every Friday, which translates, Mr. Speaker, to 3.68 billion shillings per year. 3.68 billion shillings per year. And 20% of that money is 777.6 million, which they should have paid us. And Mr. Speaker, you know what they paid us? Here, from this treasury here. They paid us 16,554. This applies to Siaya, where they do gold in game. This applies to Migori, where they do gold in Nyatige. And it applies even in your home, Mr. Speaker, in Kilifi, in Kwale. So people in treasury are just sitting, sharing money meant for royalties. I know of certain people who are in positions of leadership in this country. And please, I beg you, don't ask me to substantiate. You go in the areas where they are leading, there are so many projects they are doing beyond shareable revenue. Because these people used to work high up in government, they know how this money is loaded. So they go to National Treasury, they tell them, add me here, and they are doing projects. And they look like they are real performers when it is theft of money from a Kolomani, from Shinyalu, from Lurambi, from Vihiga, from Nyatige, Mr. Speaker, from Game in Siaya. This house being a house of equity, this is the speech. We must stop that stealing so that this money can reach our people.
Mr. Speaker, order, Senator Eddie.
Nyatige.
Mr. Speaker, you know, I'm raising another point of order number 105. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of statement of facts. Mr. Speaker, the Senator for Kakamega has raised a very important issue. Mr. Speaker, yesterday I was actually with 6 senators from this house in Migori County, a place he has just quoted called Nyatike, where in Osiri Matanda alone, we are selling gold worth 33 million every day. Yes. Yes. And Mr. Speaker, the Senator of Kakamega has claimed that there are people in the treasury who are eating associated royalties that are supposed to go to these communities. And then he goes ahead to tell this House, Mr. Speaker, that we cannot force him or ask him or even request him, Mr. Speaker, to substantiate this, Mr. Speaker. People who have taken millions of money from Mr. Speaker, from poor communities, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, can the majority whip even into us who these people are? In fact, Mr. Speaker, if it was possible, I would request that you direct him, Mr. Speaker, that perhaps he tables the names of these people in this house, Mr. Speaker. We must discuss these people. My people in Migori are suffering, and they don't get value of what they have been mining, Mr. Speaker. I'm surprised that the bullfighter can start cowing to these cartels, to people who are stealing from the poor, Mr. Speaker. He must be bold enough, and I want to wish him the courage. These are not putting you on the spot, leader. I'm wishing you the courage. Name these people. Let us know them in this country, and let us deal with them. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Boni, you are obligated under standing orders. That is not a request from Senator Eddy. It is an obligation under our own standing orders that if you allege certain facts, you should be in a position to substantiate. In the event that you're unable to substantiate now, you may seek time within which to substantiate. If that option is not available to you, that even if you're given more time, you not be able to substantiate, then you may have to move to withdraw those allegations. What say you, Senator?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm properly guided, but the way I read the standing orders is that that pressure arises, Mr. Speaker, if you mention somebody adversely, or mention the name of somebody who cannot defend himself on the floor of the House.
Senator Boni,
yes.
Let us not teach ourselves these standing orders. We know them. You have given certain facts which have not been substantiated. You have alleged that at the Treasury, this kind of thing happens, and it is happening with the aid of certain leaders. In fact, you said very senior leaders in this country. So kindly proceed to name these people. If you're unable to do that, kindly proceed to retract that statement.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I have a history. I have a history in this country. I have dealt with those mandarins at Treasury. In fact, the country sometimes remembers me for the work I have done in that Treasury. Mr. Speaker, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that somebody can sit and award a county 100 shillings. Even if this House wanted me to tell them, that should make you angry enough. Mr. Speaker,
allow the senator to make his. But ultimately, Senator Boni, ultimately, you'll have to do two things: substantiate or withdraw. Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, my mind is pushing me to speak. But I am a responsible state officer. A state officer who understands the principle of collective responsibility. Let me tell you, I would look the most stupid state officer to fail to use the other channels open to me, Mr. Speaker, to pursue this matter, and instead then make pronouncements here as if I don't. So for that reason, Mr.
Honorable Boni, Honorable Senator, Honorable Senator, in that case then, kindly proceed to withdraw and use the other channels to pursue this matter.
Mr. Speaker, I am properly guided. My younger brother, in fact, my kid brother, Moses Kajwang, who I campaigned for in Kindu Bay, in Homa Bay, in Diwa, when your brother, who was almost my age mate, who used to sit there, had died. You would love for me to draw blood. I withdraw, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I will be ripe. And the lawyers have got something called an issue being ripe. When the time will be ripe, I will walk, I will dance, and I will sing with these names until corruption comes to an end in this house. And I have had the privilege of leading some of the offices where I've had the opportunity to partake of proceeds of corruption. But I've refused. I've seen people who have been in that office for 6 months end up buying property in Karen and living there. I've refused. I still live in my home, Horo. Mr. Speaker, I withdraw for now. And Mr. Speaker, having withdrawn,
I think the Honorable Senator has withdrawn the statement. Allow him to
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to apologize
What
for
is
the
your
way
point of order, Senator Kajwang?
Mr. Speaker, from the foregoing deliberations, will I be in order to describe the bullfighter of Kakamega as a coward of Kakamega?
Senator Kajwang, you're totally out of order. First, under standing orders, you should refer to your colleagues as honorable senators. As far as the House is concerned, we don't have bullfighters, we don't have fighters at all. So I overrule your point of order. Kindly, Senator Boni, proceed to conclude.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sometimes in this House, it helps to have interventions like the one from Moses Kajwang, Senator. Of course, he doesn't mean that I'm a coward. He's just using it to cajole me to ensure that I come out and say these things. So Kajwang, thanks for the compliment. We'll be doing our fish at Kendu Bay the usual way. Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I respond and request, with your permission, sir, that understanding order number 66(3), you allow this motion to come for division, not for division, yes, for division at the proper time, at a later time, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Very well. I shall postpone the putting of the question on that particular motion to a date later in the course of next week. Next order, Clerk.
Order number 9, Committee of the Whole, the Learners with Disabilities Bill, Senate Bills number 4 of 2023.
That statement is deferred. Next.
Order number 10, Committee of the Whole, the Equalization Fund Administration Bill, Senate Bills number 14 of 2023.
That statement is deferred. Next.
Order number 11, Committee of the Whole, the County Licensing Uniform Procedure Bill, Senate Bills number 9 of 2022.
The order is deferred. Next.
Order number 12, Committee of the Whole, the Agricultural and Livestock Extension Services Bill, Senate Bills number 12 of 2022.
The statement is deferred. Next order.
Order number 13, Committee of the Whole, the Mung Beans Bill, Senate Bills number 13 of 2022.
That statement, that order is deferred. Next order, please.
Order number 14, Committee of the Whole, the Startup Bill, Senate Bills number 14 of 2022.
That order is also deferred. Next order.
Order number 15, Committee of the Whole, the Persons with Disabilities Bill, Senate Bills number 7 of 2023.
That order is deferred. Next order.
Order number 16, the County Boundaries Bill, Senate Bills number 6 of 2023, second reading.
The Honorable Senator Moses Kajwang. Absolutely, absolutely. That order is deferred. Next order. Now, Honorable Senators, at this point I'd wish to reorganize the sequence of today's order paper. And instead of prosecuting order number 17, we proceed to handle order 19. Thereafter, we will resume the usual sequence of today's order paper. So clerk, kindly proceed to call the order paper as amended. Do we have any member of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations? Call the order, clerk.
Order number 19, motion, adoption of the report of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations on the application for conferment of city status to the municipality of Eldoret.
Honorable Senator Nyonka.
Mr. Speaker, I hope you will accept my apologies because I had in the SIPA committee since 8 o'clock and I hadn't even had a glass of water. Mr. Speaker, by a letter dated 29th May 2023, the clerk of the County Assembly of Uasin Gishu transmitted a resolution of the County Assembly via the Joint Committee on Lands, Physical Planning and Housing and Urban Development to adopt the report of the ad hoc committee on the conferment of city status to the municipality of Eldoret dated 23rd May